and the torches are officially out. Philadelphia Eagles losing a game where Chip Kelly referred to the team's offensive play as embarrassing. Dallas Cowboys team went into Philadelphia and defeated the Eagles 20-10 with Tony Romo getting hurt without Dez Bryant. But anyone that saw that game was not as close as a 20-10 score. The Eagles did not have a first down in the first half. They looked really, really bad. I think that they'll get it together, but wanted to bring in Michael as a individual from southeastern Pennsylvania and an Eagles fan to kind of put in his 2 cents. What did you see out there yesterday?
Okay. Well, first, I'm going to let my Cowboys hate come out before we get into how bad the Eagles looked. Offensively speaking, the game actually was very close because the Cowboys weren't good either.
They weren't.
They got a defensive touchdown. Other than that, the game is 13-10. Everybody looked bad. Now that I've got that out my system, what we're really seeing from the Eagles is 2 things. One, we're seeing Chip Kelly's deficiencies as a general manager. A couple years ago, the Eagles thought they had a dream team, brought in a whole bunch of players on defense. It didn't work. For that matter, you look in almost any sport. When you bring in a whole bunch of free agents like that, you may have talent, but you don't have chemistry. You don't have guys that know how to play with each other, how to communicate with each other, know how to trust each other. So your system is definitely going to go through a major adjustment period, if nothing else. You're not going to come out the gates and all of a sudden everything's going at 100%. Doesn't work like that. Then I think a lot of people got blinded by the glitz and glamour of the preseason. I have 2 words for you. Steve Spurrier. Remember him with the Redskins? Preseason, he was putting up 50 points a game, and everybody's talking about how great his offense looks. It's the preseason. Nobody's game planning. You're looking at backups half the time. They're trying out guys in positions they won't normally play. So things work differently in the preseason. You got to the regular season, Spurrier lasted, a season, 2 seasons? It didn't work. Chip Kelly's system has flaws. First and foremost, the type of O-lineman necessary to run Chip Kelly's system are usually the 290-pound to 300-pound kind of athletic, more mobile guys rather than 330, 340-pound bruisers. That works in college when D tackles are 270. When D tackles in the pros are 350, they're going to come straight up the gut on you.
Every play.
Every play. When you get penetration like that, you can't run. Your quarterback's in trouble. And then, of course, back to the genius GM who thinks you can live with a bunch of rookie receivers and backup O-linemen while running this system, you get the Eagles off it. So unless those 2 interior linemen that he has suddenly figure out how to be actual NFL pros, or those young rookie and sophomore receivers figure out how to play like developed vets and run routes and get open without just getting down the field, which no one seems to do, that offense is going to struggle. And I haven't even mentioned the fact that this dude keeps trying to run out the shotgun yet. I don't know when anyone ever thinks that works.
that's never been a good idea. So if I could jump in, I got a couple more questions for you. You mentioned Chip Kelly and his history. There's a phrase that my boy Nizer Clark and I use when we're watching football. The phrase is called man works.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what man works is for those that listen to the show, we got a lot of young ladies that listen and people that aren't as hardcore football fans, but they know me personally, they know you personally. Football, the essence of football that you don't get in the Madden ratings, it doesn't show up in the stat sheet. Football is about 2 fat guys facing one another. And the fatter guy on one side is going to overpower the fat guy on the other side. If you're on the side where the fat guy overpowers in its offense, that means you have time to throw the ball. That means that you have lanes to run the ball.
Exactly.
If you're on the defensive side and the fat guys up front overpower their fat guys, your linebackers are able to get penetration and make tackles, and then your pass rushers are able to have a very easy path to the quarterback to get sacks, ultimately disrupting plays and getting turnovers.
Exactly.
You cannot win in football without grown behind men on that line. You can't do it. People have tried.
Not in NFL.
You can't do it in college. You saw it happen when Oregon played Ohio State, which had a bunch of fat guys that are going to the NFL.
When I say not in the NFL, in college, it can work to an extent.
To an extent.
Because in college, probably 80 to 90% of a top flight school schedule will be against inferior competition.
Yeah, bums.
But when Oregon saw an Auburn or a Stanford, that 60-point a game offense scored like 20 points a game.
Right.
And it looked nowhere near the same because when they got hit in the mouth, they didn't have the big goons up front on the lines to respond.
Right. It's physics.
Exactly. You can't power run in those 1-2 yard situations. You got to try to out scheme or out quick somebody. But because everyone knows you can't power run, they know what's coming.
Right. And everyone in the NFL is fast, regardless of how much.
Exactly.
So the guys that weigh 260, they still run a 4.640.
Mhm. You're not getting to that edge the same way.
Mhm.
It's a college system.
So Chip Kelly's been pretty, I don't want to call him arrogant. I mean, his coaching methods and the sabermetric viewpoint of football and the way that he gets smaller, faster guys to run more plays, and his goal is to make you tired by the end of the fourth quarter because they're running 80 plays, 100 plays, as opposed to a typical NFL team runs between 60 and 65 plays a game. It seems like he's been arrogant about it. I'm not in the Philly area. You are.
He's arrogant about it.
What is the feeling in the fan base? I mean, what are they saying on WIP? I mean, what are they saying on local radio? What are they saying in the barbershop?
Right. Well, let's be honest. Philly fans, they get a rap as being dumb fans. They're not. They're very intelligent fans.
No, they're not.
The problem with Philly fans is that they're overreactionary. Whereas, like, we understand and recognize good football, good basketball, good baseball. We know it when we see it. But in the meantime, we'll have one bad game where the team looks bad and it's the end of the world. Then we have another game where the team looks good and we're on our way to the Super Bowl. Nobody seems to want to find that happy medium where it's the team has some flaws, we've got some talent, but we've got some holes. Maybe they could turn it around. But honestly, with the holes that we have, a defensive coordinator who likes to play press man coverage with corners who aren't good at that, an O-line who can't do anything up the middle, and, young receivers that aren't developed, when it's well regarded that wide receiver is probably the second hardest position to walk into the NFL and play for a rookie behind quarterback. It's just not a good recipe for success right now. You've got a running back who's a power runner who can't escape because he's getting hit in the backfield every play. And the running back you did have who couldn't make that first guy miss, you got rid of him.
Best slasher in the league, perhaps. Yeah.
That's the type of running back you need behind this offensive line. And they don't have him. But you got rid of him because that type of running back behind this type of offensive line will never work in short yardage. So you thought maybe we'll get a power back, but he can't even get going.
Right.
These are the O-linemen you need to run this system, though. So how do you work it? I don't know yet.
So it looks like doom and gloom, but I find it hard to believe. The Eagles have always been a good team. It seems that I found
Okay.
Chip Kelly's moves to be baffling in the offseason. Getting rid of Macklin, getting rid of Shady,
So
getting rid of...
Here's what you just said, though. You said the Eagles have always been a team that was pretty good. And throughout our lifetime, they have been. But going back as far as we were alive to see, you had coaches like Buddy Ryan, who was a defense, hit you in the mouth defense. If we could score more than 14 points, we win.
He was a genius.
And then during the Andy Reid years, we had another defensive genius, a defensive coordinator named Jim Johnson.
Right. Rest in peace.
If you scored 17 points for a Jim Johnson defense, the Eagles were going to win. That was the number, 17. If we could get above 17 points, the Eagles probably won 9 out of 10 games like that because Jim Johnson knew how to play defense. Once Jim Johnson passed away, the Eagles' defense has consistently been bad. Let's just be honest. The defense has consistently been bad.
And undersized.
Outcoached. And now you add to that an offense that's struggling, you have a bad team. If you still had a shutdown defense that could hold teams 2 touchdowns or less, you're in Sunday night's game or Sunday's game if it's 14-10. But and be quite honest, that defense on Sunday night though didn't even do a terrible job. There were some places where we could have done better, where they could have done better, but they weren't terrible.
Cox is a beast.
They held the Cowboys' offense to 13 points. You hold a team's offense to 13 points, you think you should be able to win that game. The Eagles were never in that game effectively because they couldn't score. So
I got one final question. It's a 2-part final question for you.
Okay.
Michael.
All right.
A, do the Philadelphia Eagles have a chance to turn this around, go to 10-6, and in a division where you have the Redskins are not, they're much better without RG3 playing, which was another conversation for another day, but not really a threat. The Giants are 0-2. The Cowboys are missing Romo and Dez, so you can't imagine them, even though they're 2-0, I would find it hard to believe that they're going to win 10, 11, 12, 13 games based on the injuries. Can they go to the playoffs? And also, if they fail to make the playoffs for a second consecutive season, is Chip Kelly looking for work elsewhere?
Can they go to the playoffs in a bad division, possibly with the Cowboys' injuries, the worst division in the NFL this year? Yes, they have a chance to make it to the playoffs. Is Chip Kelly on the hot seat? No, not even close. They just gave him full control this year. He's going to get at least one more.
Okay.
So, buckle up. Just enjoy the ride. Or don't enjoy the ride, but it's going to continue for at least another year, most likely.
Well, one thing I'm pretty sure is he may not be on the hot seat with the owners, but I watched that game yesterday. Those Bluebirds came out in the third quarter. I mean, people from Philly don't mess around with their sports, man. If the Eagles go 5-11, Chip Kelly may not get fired, but he may wish that he got fired.
Oh, he's absolutely going to be on the hot seat with the fans. But with ownership, Andy Reid got 14 years. This is Chip Kelly's third. And he just gave him full control. He's going to get at least one more.
The Lance J Radio Show is taped at Advent Sports Network Studios, located in beautiful Emerald City of Seattle, Washington.